The samurai established their own government for the first time in history. Japanese warriors struggled with the Mongol invaders' superior weaponry and cavalry. Zen Buddhism quickly spread among the samurai, and the genius of guerrilla warfare harassed the shogunate forces. These are some of the events that took place in the Kamakura period, the age of the first shogunate. Konnichiwa. Hello and welcome to another edition of Talk About Japan. I'm Mitsuaki, your guide to Japan. Japan's long and rich history is divided into different periods and eras. Today, we'll focus on Kamakura period. Kamakura was an age when the samurai finally realized their long-cherished dream of establishing their own government. But they soon encountered many challenges, both internal and external. In this video, we'll be looking at some of the key events and cultural achievements that took place in the Kamakura period, the age of the first shogunate. では、始めましょう! Kamakura period refers to a century and a half from 1185 to 1333, corresponding to the period when Kamakura was the seat of the first shogunate government. The Kamakura shogunate was established by Minamoto no Yoritomo, head of the Minamoto clan, after his decisive victory over the rival Taira clan at the Battle of Danno-ura in 1185. It is the first shogunate in the country's history, shogunate meaning a government of the shogun. Shogun is an abbreviated term for Sei Taishogun, which literally means barbarian subduing generalissimo. Prior to Yoritomo, it was a title of a military commander under the control of the emperor. But Yoritomo began to use the title as the head of a military government. Japan had an imperial government in Kyoto, which continued to exist after the establishment of the shogunate in Kamakura. So the country had a sort of a binary government. But why did Yoritomo establish a shogunate in Kamakura in the first place, when Japan already had the central government in Kyoto? Firstly, there was a growing discontent among the samurai with the way they were being treated by the imperial court and aristocrats in Kyoto. They were looked down upon by the aristocrats and economically exploited by them. Secondly, after the numerous wars of the previous Heian period, the warriors knew that the imperial court could no longer solve its problems without their military power. Yoritomo's decisive victory over the Taira clan in the Genpei War enabled him to establish the shogunate, encouraged by the samurai's aspiration to create a government of samurai. Nevertheless, the shogun didn't abolish the imperial government. Although it was merely a formality, shoguns needed to be appointed by an emperor to gain legitimacy. The Kamakura shogunate was the first of the three shogunate governments in Japanese history. The other two were the Ashikaga or Muromachi shogunate and the Tokugawa or Edo shogunate. After his death in 1199, Yoritomo was succeeded by his sons, but they lacked their father's charisma and leadership and failed to control their vassals. Both were eventually assassinated, ending the legitimate line of the Minamoto clan. Then the real power shifted to the Hojo clan, the family of Yoritomo's wife Masako, who would dominate the government as shikken or regents. Titular shoguns were received from the prestigious Fujiwara clan and later imperial house, but they were granted absolutely no power. The age of the samurai government in the country's history thus began. But here comes the first major crisis. In 1221, a civil war known as Jokyu War broke out. The retired emperor Gotoba was dissatisfied that the imperial power was usurped by the samurai, who were supposed to be the vassals of the emperor. He issued a decree to overthrow the shogunate to restore power to the imperial court. Gotoba believed that the warlords nationwide would come to his call. In fact, many samurai found it difficult to defy the emperor, who was still considered the most exalted authority in Japan. But Hojo Masako, the widow of Yoritomo, delivered an impassionate speech that encouraged the warriors, inspiring them to defend the shogunate, which had freed the samurai from the control of the aristocracy. Eventually, many samurai sided with the shogunate. Gotoba's army suffered a crushing defeat. After the Jokyu War, the shogunate severely punished Gotoba, who was exiled to Oki, remote islands in the Sea of Japan, and 2 of his sons were also exiled to remote lands. Jokyu War marked the samurai's dominance over the emperors. The imperial court in Kyoto was not abolished, but was placed under the control of the shogunate. From this point until the Meiji Restoration in 19th century, the samurai dominated politics for almost 6 decades and a half. The Kamakura shogunate overcame the Jokyu War, but faced an even greater crisis half a century later: the Mongolian Invasions. In 1268, Kublai Khan, the Mongol emperor, sent a letter to Japan demanding subjugation. Hojo Tokimune, the 8th Shikken, ignored the letter altogether. He chose all-out war rather than subjugation. The first invasion took place in 1274, known as the Battle of Bunei. About 30,000 Mongolian troops launched invasion on northern Kyushu. The Japanese samurai struggled with the Mongols' superior weaponry and skilled cavalry. Especially Mongols' weapons using gunpowder was something the Japanese had never seen before. But the Japanese samurai fought fiercely and managed to repel the invaders. The following year, Kublai again sent emissaries to Japan demanding submission. Tokimune this time ordered their beheading. Again, Tokimune chose a war. The second invasion took place in 1281, known as the Battle of Koan. This time, the Mongols swept in with a huge army of over 100,000. But Tokimune had taken precautionary measures, mobilizing a large force to defend Kyushu and also building stone walls to block enemy landings. Japanese samurai fiercely attacked Mongolian troops. And finally, typhoons sank the Mongols' fleet. The Mongols would never come back again. Japan was spared conquest, but despite the victory over the Mongols, the battles led to the downfall of the shogunate. The defense efforts strained the shogunate's finance, and discontent grew among the warriors, who had risked their lives fighting but were poorly rewarded. Looking at the culture, the Kamakura period saw the emergence of a culture supported by the samurai and commoners, in contrast to the previous periods when the culture was monopolized by the nobility. In Buddhism, a number of new sects emerged. Among them, Zen Buddhism was favored by the warriors because it put emphasis on discipline and self-control, essential values for the samurai. Zen would have a profound influence on the subsequent formation of Japanese culture, from tea ceremony and flower arrangement to gardening and bushido, or code of the warriors. In literature, a number of war stories were produced reflecting the rights of the samurai. Among them, The Tale of Heike is the greatest masterpiece, vividly depicting the rise and fall of the Taira clan, and had a profound influence on the literature and artworks of the later generations. In painting, many picture scrolls were produced with motifs of battles, religious tales, and high priests. The compact, portable picture scrolls also provided an opportunity for art to spread among the commoners. And the Kamakura period saw the golden age of Japan's sculpture, led by the innovative artists Unkei and Kaikei, who created masterpieces full of reality and physical beauty. Unkei and Kaikei are best known for creating two huge statues of guardian kings that stand inside the Nandaimon gate of the Todaiji temple in Nara. Back to political history, the Emperor Go-Daigo, who took throne in 1318, wanted to restore the power back to the emperor. He launched campaigns to overthrow the shogunate. The shogunate thwarted Go-Daigo's attempt and exiled him to the Oki Islands in 1332. The same islands where the retired Emperor Gotoba had been exiled a century earlier. Again, an emperor was punished by samurai. However, in response to the Go-Daigo's call, several warlords raised their armies to challenge the shogunate. Among them was Kusunoki Masashige, who is known for his guerrilla warfare that harassed the shogunate. According to traditional account, in the famous siege of Chihaya Castle in modern-day Osaka, Masashige defeated 1 million shogunate troops with just 1,000 men. This may be a bit of an exaggeration though. In the end, the betrayal of two of the shogun's retainers determined the downfall of the shogunate. Ashikaga Takauji destroyed the shogun's outpost in Kyoto, while Nitta Yoshisada marched toward the shogun's headquarters in Kamakura. Kamakura is a difficult city to attack because the mountains surrounding the city act as a natural fortress to prevent invasions. Yoshisada first tried to make overland attacks but was prevented by the Hojo troops. Legend has it that Yoshisada offered his sword to Ryujin, the dragon god, for divine assistance at Inamuragasaki beach. Suddenly, the tide receded, allowing entry from the shore. Yoshisada's troops marched on, defeated the shogunate troops. Takatoki, the head of Hojo clan, decided it was over. Over 870 Hojo family members and retainers gathered at Hojo's family temple, set fire to the building, and killed themselves. This brought an end to the Kamakura period. Emperor Go-Daigo came back to Kyoto to rule the country. And Japan enters a short yet turbulent period known as the Kenmu Restoration. These are some of the key events that took place in the Kamakura period, an important age in Japanese history that marked the beginning of the 7 centuries of samurai rule. Thank you for watching. ありがとうございました。さようなら。